once I have taken just a few steps, I never quit. But often I quit before I even put my shoes on, or before I even schedule it in, or whatever that looks like for you, whatever point that you say, here's the healthy thing that I need to do, and start. Here's that growth area for me. Here's that idea that I truly believe could change lives. Identify the resistance early. And then those few steps, go ahead and take those. We get it. You're busy. You want to grow, and we want to help. You're passionate about your craft because it deeply matters to you. Your faith is important. It's your foundation. At Stay Forth, we coach leaders to avoid burnout, live and lead with clarity, purpose, and from a place of health. We want you to experience long-term impact. Welcome to the journey. Hey friends, welcome back to the podcast. Really interesting situation today. We are literally talking about a topic, and you're going to know why this is ironic, that is involved in today's podcast. That's really the heart of, I think, a lot of what we talk about here at the podcast. And Jonathan is experiencing that very thing today. We've got internet issues on that side of it. So I'm coming to you without my co-host on this series, Jonathan, and we are going to dive into a topic that I believe has the potential to get you unstuck. I watch it get leaders unstuck each week. And let me paint the context of where we're at. We are heading into the fall. My kids just started school. Maybe yours are a few weeks behind if you're a parent, and the expectations tend to pile on. Leaders talk about the joy of the summer and kind of the chill and the ebb of the summer moving into a serious flow in the fall where the pressure gets turned up. You got a lot of things going on, the busyness factor. And I just want to say in this moment, I believe this message that we're going to talk about today has the potential to normalize what you are experiencing. There are things that we all experience as leaders, as humans, as parents. And what we want to do is kind of normalize and demystify. And we also believe that information is not enough. So we leave space for you to think. So please don't fast forward through those spots. We want you to think through these topics. And if you could just identify some awareness up front, and then you could identify some action on sort of the backside of this episode, then we've done our job. But I've got a great opportunity for you. So as we go through this anti-burnout series this summer, as you reflect on it, we have a next step for you. I am going to be leading a cohort, and this is going to be a 5-week deep dive, not just into let's read through this book together. I promise it's not a lame book study. Turn to page 79 and what was your favorite paragraph? Not that at all. We are actually going to dive into the topics on obstacles and see where do you wrestle, and then how do you move toward that opportunity. And we are going to identify the 1 or 2 shifts that you need to make to see serious breakthrough in your own leadership. We're all at slightly different spots, but we're going to bring in high capacity leaders from various fields that in this pretty small, safe space are going to share and going to make progress together. So I see it as a group coaching experience. We're going to deep dive. Again, coaching one-on-one is awesome. I have limited time and energy, and you probably have limited resources to be able to get one-on-one coaching. This is your chance to start the fall with some great momentum. So we kicked that off the first week of September. You can, over on YouTube, just click the link. You can click in the show notes if you're listening. You can also go to antiburnoutbook.com. That's everything around the book, antiburnoutbook.com. I would love for you to start the fall well. I don't know if you're feeling the pressure. I certainly feel the pressure heading into the fall. And what not to do is to shrink back from it. What we want you to do is actually to take steps. So that leads us perfectly into the topic today. What are we talking about? The obstacle is resistance. The opportunity is movement. If you are feeling stuck, if you are feeling scared, if you are feeling squelched in any way, if you are feeling like I don't have what it takes to push into the fall, and we talk about an annual energy map, whether you map this out on a board or you use our tool, it's actually in Anti-Burnout. What we try to do is say, what is the energy required for each month? And often people say the moment that school starts or Labor Day hits, September becomes a 10 or an 11. Great opportunities happen, but also could throw you off. So I want to read a statement that I believe is true for so many of us. When we bravely take steps forward, we are whispering to ourselves, this is worth it, and I won't be mastered by fear. How many times do we feel like this thing isn't worth it, and fear is eating my lunch? Fear is that bully many times on the playground that's coming for us. We think, I can't do it. I'm not enough. I can't market this thing. I can't get this product out there. I can't lead this group. I can't write my book. I can't whatever, you fill in the blank. You're going to experience resistance in your life and leadership. Let me normalize this further. Anything healthy in your life that you want to do, just be ready for resistance to hit you. If you want to grow in any way, resistance is coming. If you want to hit the gym, if you want to change how you eat, if you want to do less at work, if you want to move away from bad habits, you're going to feel resistance. That thing is going to be right there, ready and waiting to throw you off. And I'm not saying, hey, be so skeptical and so afraid of the thing waiting around the corner, but we just know it's just human nature. It's there. We're going to get distracted. You're going to feel resistance. Guys, some days, some moments, some seasons are worse than others. I don't know why I wake up more fearful some days than others. I don't know why I wake up some days very confident and going, I got this. I'm ready to go, feeling more grounded. You may do the same principles, same practices, same rhythms, same habits, and one day just feels harder than the next. But in general, you're just going to experience this. So as we continue to work through anti-burnout, I want to say that I borrowed this term from a guy named Steven Pressfield. Now, this book, one of my favorite books, and if you're seeing this over on YouTube, I will say The War of Art is an amazing book with a terrible cover. Let me just say that on the record. I believe that it has probably the best content to cover ratio I've ever seen in a book. So bad cover, incredible short book. Breakthrough blocks to win your inner creative battles. Friends, leadership is a creative act. And in this creative act, we have to summon the courage to take our next steps, to confront that person, to talk to somebody about this, to launch that content, to share that piece out in the world that's going to help 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5,000 people. You are going to experience resistance. So let me read what Pressfield means by resistance. I think this is really helpful. Resistance cannot be seen, touched, heard, or smelled, but it can be felt. We experience it as an energy field radiating from work in potential. It's a repelling force. It's negative. Its aim is to shove us away, distract us, prevent us from doing our work. Resistance is not a peripheral opponent. Resistance arises from within. It is self-generated and self-perpetuated. Resistance is the enemy within. Let me normalize this one more time. We all have an enemy within that is lazy, that is negative, that says that's not going to work, that is fighting against every other part of us that says, the world needs this. I need to do this. This is going to change lives. This is what God has designed me to do. There's that other part that whispers against that and sometimes yells against that. Friends, here's the good news and the bad news. This doesn't go away. So we hope to normalize and demystify what resistance is right now and bring you some greater awareness. But I want to lead you into a question. What area in your life are you experiencing the most resistance right now? For some of you, maybe that was in parenting and you're feeling an extreme resistance with one of your kids. Maybe for you, that's, I need to write a book. I work with a lot of people who have a book inside of them. Actually doing a call with somebody today, they've got a book inside them and they are fighting the fear gremlins. I don't know what's next. I don't know if I have what it takes. I don't know if anybody will read it. And what we want to do in that moment let's use the example of writing the book. For that moment, what we believe is the antidote to this resistance is to move, is to take a few steps, 1 or 2 steps. We're huge on steps at Stay Forth because I see that unlock potential. I see that clarity can go up when we take steps, but really courage goes up. Like, I'm the kind of person that takes a step even when I'm scared, is what we can say in that moment. Every other week, I write something called Taking Steps. Feel free to join that email list. Would love to have you. It's down in the show notes. And I just share some of the steps that I'm taking in hopes that you would also take steps. So whatever that area is where you're experiencing resistance, we actually want you to move. We want you to take a few steps. What resistance wants you to do is to stay stuck, to not make any move toward that. And some have shared about things like procrastination and laziness and spiritual warfare and distraction from our phones and devices and schedules and whatever else. And those things are helpful to talk about. They're just a little bit different from what we're talking about here with resistance. So again, the creative act of leadership, it requires so much of us that's often intangible. You are going to feel resistance. So think about that one area where you're experiencing resistance, whether it's that part of your leadership, the new creative enterprise that you want to launch, the side hustle, that thing that you have thought about for 2 years and you're finally ready to move on, that aspect of parenting, whatever that is. And I want to ask you another question. What are a few steps that you could take in that area? What are a few steps that you can take in that area to push against the resistance? Steps really do declare war on resistance. When we take just a few steps, then it's easier to keep going. And I've shared the analogy here before. I don't love running, but it's really, really good for me and for my mind and for my body. And I live in Colorado, so running trails is actually pretty fun. But it is challenging running at altitude. But I never get excited to put my running shoes on. But once I have taken just a few steps, I never quit. But often I quit before I even put my shoes on, or before I even schedule it in, or whatever that looks like for you, whatever point that you say, here's the healthy thing that I need to do, and start. Here's that growth area for me. Here's that idea that I truly believe could change lives. Identify the resistance early. And then those few steps, go ahead and take those. Whatever you just thought about for those steps, if you're driving, pull over. Go ahead and put that in your phone and just say, here's when I'm going to do this. Sometimes that's the missing piece. When we say, here's where I'm feeling stuck right now or resistance, here are the few steps I'm going to take, to calendar them, to say, here's when I'm going to do it. If you want to go one step further, here's where I'm going to be when I accomplish this. I have something big on my plate this week that probably would take an hour or so. It's not a huge dominating thing in my week, but for whatever reason, I've been kind of kicking it down the road. If I don't take that step, then I can't help you guys to be able to take your next step. And it's something I've been thinking about for a while, and you'll hear about it here later on the podcast, but I have about an hour. And so if I just schedule that and then literally say, here's where I'm going to accomplish that, my chances of doing it go way up. Friends, so much is at stake here. Not only do you not want to deliver this promise to yourself, or do you want to avoid missing those promises to ourselves, but literally there's transformation on the other side of this for you, for others, for something else. I just know that the hardest time to get going is before we've started. Again, what are a few steps in, and then you can keep going. Please avoid going, here are my 50 steps toward, to use the book analogy, when people reach out, it's not, hey, here's exactly what has to happen in these 14 different areas of this book to make sure you have, no, let's talk about finishing your manuscript first. Then call me, let's talk about how we get you some editing help. Whatever that is, let's break it down. Let's take a few steps. Friends, we are all about steps here. And I do want to include a little gift to you guys. If you email us, we will be glad to send you the annual energy map tool that I talked about at the very beginning. We're here in the fall, a lot of momentum, a lot of opportunity, but a lot of resistance. And I would say just a lot of real challenge and real fear here. So if you'd like the annual energy map tool that lots of teams across the country are using and leaders that I coach get access to, just go ahead and email us at hello@stayforth.com. That's hello@stayforth.com. Also, if you have a story of how this podcast is changing your life, selfishly, would you share it with us? We just want to know that it's actually making a difference in your life. Friends, we're going to be back next week to conclude this anti-burnout series. We hope this has been really helpful for you, because information is not enough. We need to reflect. We actually need to turn awareness into action. Don't miss out on our anti-burnout cohort. I'm going to spend these 5 weeks with some great leaders like you across fields, across disciplines, who say, I want to fight against resistance. I want to fight against burnout. I want to live the life that I'm designed to live, and I got a lot in the tank. We believe in you. We want to keep bringing you messages that help you keep taking steps. There's great information out there everywhere, but very few people that are willing to walk with you to help you take your next right steps, and we want to be one of those. Thanks for tuning in. We will catch you next week on YouTube. If you haven't watched, go ahead over there. Wherever you consume your podcast, we are there. Friends, catch you next week.